Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1488B, and today's date is February 2nd, 2018, and the title of the episode is the Deep State About to Activate the Sleeper Cells? Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, we can see the FISA memo. It came out today. And we see the corporate media is out there, and it looks like they're labeling this a conspiracy theory. And those individuals that believe in the memo, well, they believe in conspiracy theories. This is how they're pushing the propaganda. They want everyone to believe and everyone to think that this is a conspiracy. This is what the CIA created. They created this term to explain away why these things happen pretty much right after JFK got shot. And we can see that this 4-page memo compiled by the Republican chair of the House Intelligence Committee accuses the Obama administration, the FBI, and the Department of Justice of securing a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign based on the Steele dossier. Now, the FISA memo accuses senior officials at the Department of Justice of inappropriately using biased opposition research into then-candidate Trump to obtain surveillance warrants on transition team members as part of the federal investigation into the Trump campaign and Russia. Information from the so-called Steele dossier was essential to the acquisition of surveillance warrants on Trump's campaign aide Carter Page. It claims that then-Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe told the committee in December that without the information from the Steele dossier, no surveillance warrant for Page would have been sought. Now, what's very interesting about this is that the memo alleges that the political origins of the dossier, paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, that it was not disclosed to the court that signed off on the warrant request. The document claims that although the FBI had clear evidence that the author of the dossier, former British spy Christopher Steele, was biased against Trump, it did not convey that to the surveillance court when making its warrant applications. Steele told then Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr that he was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. Now, once again, we can see that this is a problem. And Andrew McCabe confirmed to the committee that no FISA warrant would have been sought from the FISA court without the Steele dossier information. That if the dossier didn't exist, at least one of the surveillance warrants in the case would not have been obtained. And this is the basis of Mueller's probe. The Department of Justice officials knew Steele was being paid by Democrats, and that officials of the Department of Justice and the FBI signed 1 warrant and 3 renewals against Carter Page. So what we see right here is that there was a crime committed, because basically this is no different than Watergate that took down Nixon. Here, the FBI and the Department of Justice used a court by means of fraud to accomplish the very same thing as what took place in Watergate. And it explains a lot as to why Comey never took notes on the interview with Hillary. Now, Judicial Watch, they released a 42-page of heavily redacted State Department documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, which reveal that the Obama State Department provided Senator Ben Cardin a dossier of classified information on Russia in order to undermine President Trump, and this is according to Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. These documents show the Obama State Department under John Kerry gathered and sent its own dossier of classified information on Russia to Senator Ben Cardin, a political ally in the U.S. Senate, to undermine President Trump. Now, if we go back in time here, we can see that Evelyn Farkas, who was the Obama Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, she made some stunning admissions back in March of 2017 when she was interviewed on MSNBC's Mika Brzezinski's show. While discussing the mad scramble by the Obama administration to collect and preserve intelligence on alleged Russian election hacking before Obama left office, it appears that Farkas accidentally implicated the Obama White House in the surveillance of Trump's campaign staff. She said, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods, meaning we would no longer have access to that intelligence. So what she's really saying is they were doing a mop-up operation, cleaning up all the documentation, getting rid of all those things that showed that, yes, they were spying on Trump illegally, and they needed to make sure that this wasn't out there. But it looks like it is all backfiring right now. Now, of course, the corporate media, they're trying to play this bit down big time. They're using emotion. They're using conspiracy theory. They're using whatever they possibly can. John McCain is out there, and he is saying that, listen, this does not help the U.S. It doesn't help the parties. It doesn't help the president. It only helps Putin, the Russians. Now, he's going back that, yes, this is all part of Putin's plan. This is ridiculous. These are individuals, and it's not just Democrats, there's Republicans. They're all in on this. And there are certain individuals that are bad, and there are certain individuals that are good. And there's a lot of corruption in government. We all know this. But we can see that ex-CIA Chief Panetta, he's warning that if this memo came out, we would have a constitutional crisis. It's amazing all these warnings that are coming out, that these individuals are in trouble. The spotlight is on them. They did something wrong. They handed a fake dossier to the court, which they knew it was fake, and they tried to get a warrant, which they did get, and they're trying to make it seem like everything else and everyone else is crazy, except them. I mean, think about what they're doing right now. It's unbelievable. But they're going to keep the propaganda moving, and they're going to try to push it as hard as they possibly can until documentation comes out which shows certain facts. And remember, this is the beginning stages. This is the beginning of letting everyone know what's going on. And of course, what they're going to do is they're going to hit it hard to try to stop it because they know there's more coming. This was just the initial phase of what is happening here. But they know more is coming. Now, we understand that out in North Korea, the Olympics are coming up. We know the South Korean government and the U.S. government decided to have no drills whatsoever, but we know there's a lot of warships around the Korean peninsula, and North Korea is accusing the U.S. of deploying these ships around the Korean peninsula to provoke North Korea. We have the North Korean foreign minister out there sent a letter to the UN Secretary General complaining about the United States, where the United States is trying to aggravate the situation in the Korean peninsula. And this is exactly what the deep state, the cabal, wants. They want North Korea on edge. This is why the ships are there. We see that out in Syria, we see that things are not going well for the deep state and cabal. Now, we talked about Manbij. We talked about what is happening in Syria and Iraq and how Turkey is coming in and pushing their agenda along with Russia, China, the U.S. to get rid of the deep state in this area. And we're getting signs that this is actually what is happening here. We see that the U.S. right now is currently in talks with the Turkish regime regarding the state affairs inside the Syria town of Manbij. Now, this is confirmed by Mattis. He says, I'm not going to discuss what's being talked about, but we are discussing on what and how we approach the situation in Manbij. Now, once again, we had a general, I think it was General Littell, who said that the U.S. will never leave Manbij. Guess what? There's going to be talks. This might go on for a week, might go on for a month, but eventually, all of a sudden, we're going to get information that the United States, the deep state, troops are going to be moving out of this area. The Syrian Democratic Forces and whatever other terrorists are in this area are going to be moving out. We also see the deep state cabal pushing the idea that Syria is using sarin gas once again. Now, we know this is completely fake. We know this is propaganda. We know that they're pushing this out there because they're trying to get something going right now. And we see that Mattis is out there saying that the U.S. has no evidence to confirm reports from aid groups and others that the Syrian government has used sarin gas. He says, we don't really care about chlorine gas. We care about sarin gas being used on the battlefield. But there is no evidence of this as of yet. And there won't be any evidence of this as of yet because what is being used in Syria is by the remaining terrorist group, the paid mercenaries. They have full access to this because it was supplied to them by the Clintons, by Obama, by all those in the intelligence agency. Everything that these paid mercenaries have, it was supplied to them, and they stage certain events to make it look like Assad is doing it. And every time groups come in and try to break this down or even try to investigate, they stop the investigation, first of all. And any groups that say, well, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense, this is when it all starts to fall apart. And we've seen this many, many times. Now, we understand that the corporate media, the deep state, intelligence apparatus, they're using propaganda right now to shoot down this memo. How much traction the memo is going to get, how far are they going to take it before people start to call them on it. They're already saying that, oh, we need facts, it's conspiracy, this is all made up. They're trying everything they possibly can to shoot this down. Now, if their propaganda fails, because they know if they can't push their agenda to convince the American people and the world that this didn't happen, they know more information is coming out. So this is the front lines right now. And if they can't push their agenda to convince the world and take the narrative and control the narrative, they will activate the sleeper cells. And we understand that these sleeper cells might not just be in the United States. I mean, we know the Olympics are coming up in February. They could create a false flag there. They could have something happen where all of a sudden a missile was shot. We know there's other things happening. There's the Super Bowl on Sunday. Or it could be something else that we didn't even think of. But we can see right now, they're on edge at this point. They're worried. They're nervous. They know that the Trump administration and those individuals in government have more information. This is just a little bit of information that they brought out and let the entire public know about. They know there is a lot more because once they start connecting all the dots to what is already out there, they're going to bring out more facts, more documents, the documents that have been signed. They're going to show the flow of money on who paid for the dossier. And this is what they're very nervous about. Remember the NSA? It was created to spy on everyone, to blackmail them if need be. And believe me, the deep state and these individuals are included in it because they don't know who's going to turn, who's going to need to be forced into doing what they needed to do. So they have been spied. Everyone has been spied on all at once. And all the information is there. And all you have to do is access it. That's why this apparatus was created, to spy on American people, to spy on government officials, to keep certain individuals in line. And now the access to all this information, well, the Trump administration has it. They have documentation. They have text messages. They have conversations. They have all of it. The deep state knows this. They understand that this is just the beginning of everything that they're going to do. And we're going to have to watch this very, very carefully because we can see there are many, many chances and opportunities for them to activate the sleeper cells, to have an event, and to push their agenda to distract from everything. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.